Okay, for this week, I am going to be playing with giving you guys individual video feedback because that's going to be a little bit easier so you can see exactly what I'm talking about and I can explain things a little bit easier than trying to type out a full page. If there is stuff like grammatical errors or whatever that I've changed, you can see that on there. But go to your graded assignment when you get your grade and watch the little video comment that I put up for you. So I did this for absolutely everybody just so I can give you a little bit more feedback. So what I'm also going to be doing is starting this week and moving on into the next assignments, I'm going to do these weekly reviews the day after you guys turn in your assignments, at least as long as I have enough time. And before I start grading, I'm basically just going to page through the assignments. That way you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to make sure that there's no identifying information on it. So you'll probably be able to recognize your own work, but no one else will. So there won't be any names or anything. But I'll just bring up those papers basically in the order that they were turned in or in some random order, however I decided to shuffle them, and just go through them a little bit at a time and point out things that were good, things that need some improvement or some common mistakes or some common awesome things that I noticed. And so I'll just page through that. So you'll be able to get this weekly review before I get finished grading all of your assignments. I want to do that because as these assignment gets longer and longer, it's going to take me a little bit longer to grade. And it won't be as bad because I'm going to be doing these video reviews for you that you'll get each. So it takes a heck of a lot less time to talk about it than it does to type it out. But I will be paging through it, so don't feel bad if you see yours up here. I'm really just nitpicking on a few things and I needed an example. Likely a bunch of other people did the exact same thing. Yours just happened to be the one that came up when I was at the front of my head and nobody else knows it's yours. All right. First and foremost, go back to that individual videos or those videos I had on specific entomological writing and go check the common mistakes just to remind yourself right before you start writing all those little things that you're going through learning. So titles should be as descriptive as possible. Think about this is the first thing that is going to be seen when you're being searched or when this article is being searched. So it should be very, very descriptive of what is going on. When you put the genus and species, it's great. This one in particular spelled it out. Perfect. Then they put Diptera californidae right after it. Remember, though, you do need to put the author who first described this species. So there should be another set of parentheses with the author. I think this is Fabricus, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Go check that. So remember that. One thing you want to keep in mind is that when you say results in the abstract, make sure you're actually putting in numbers. So this is a great start right here. This showed some exact results of what happened. But anytime you see the word significantly or anytime you write that word, be prepared to put in the actual p-value that is found in the paper. So if you write this word significantly, that's a great rule of thumb. As soon as you write that, go look up the p-value, basically because you're proving that this is, in fact, significantly higher. You'll probably see some comments, or I'll say some comments where I say, prove it. This is what I mean. Whenever you give me data or you write out data, have the numbers to back it up. So if you say it's significant, prove that it's significant. Give the p-value. If you say there are more pupae putrae, prove it with numbers and p-values and stats. So keep that in mind. Also remember to be following proper InStars format no matter what it is you're doing, even if it's one section like this. Make sure you add in the authors. You don't have to add in the editor at this moment, but the lines, make sure things are left, right, justified, add your keywords, all of that sort of stuff. Remember, you can click on the rubric and you should be able to see, I've hopefully set this up correctly, where you can actually see what I'm going to be grading you on right here. So this is what I'm actually using to grade. So keep that in mind. And I do want you to be practicing all of the all of the formatting that you learned when you did that formatting paper. So constantly be doing that. That way it becomes second nature, so that when you are writing your own paper and you're getting ready to publish, you won't have to go back and spend hours trying to format. Also, keep things as neutral as possible, or as you want to walk a line between being super specific or overly specific and overly general. So something like this Waterlock G400, you don't need that much information. Instead, you could just say gelling agent, and if they want to know what it is, they can go into, the readers can go into the materials and methods. When writing something like the purpose of this experiment, that makes it sound a little bit clunky. You want to, you're going to hear me say this in your individual feedback things quite a bit, but you're going to want to smooth out and, what's the word I'm looking for? Really up your writing when it comes to especially the abstract. So when something is a little clunky, or it's something that is, yes, I understand it's a purpose or the hypothesis or things like that, you don't want to have to spell that out so much because that is indicative of somebody who hasn't written a lot. And so when you read some of these papers, especially in papers that like you're collecting for this class or for your own library, you're going to find that some just sound really sophisticated. That is what you're going for. Also, always remember to italicize the genus and species. That is something you'll hear me harp on over and over and over again. This part right here, you don't need to be quite this detailed in the abstract. So I'm going to have to, or I'm going to be teaching you how to kind of walk a line, so to speak, with this writing, through all this feedback. So think about the types of information that somebody pulling up the abstract would need to know. They don't necessarily need exactly how many grams of everything is happening here. Instead, they need sort of a generic overview of, we tested dry blood, try egg powder, milk, etc. In this artificial diet. If they want to know the exact amount of ingredients, they can go to the materials and methods. So this should be more of a, not really a teaser, but enough information to keep people interested in, to let them know if this is something they want to continue reading without overwhelming them with numbers. So when I say add numbers and actual data, save all the numbers and stuff for the results, unless it is really crucial that these numbers show up in the materials and methods portion. Remember again to put the order and family right after the first instance of the word or the genus and species. And I've seen this over and over again. Well done, everybody. When you start a sentence with the species name, you spell out both the genus and species. I haven't seen anybody make a mistake on that yet, so well done there. Okay, this first sentence, I've seen it written this way a couple of times, where it says, Colochyma macellaria, the secondary screwworm, is an adipteran species that belongs to the family Calliphoridae. That's a really clunky way of saying things. That's why we like having that that sort of shorthand almost of putting the parentheses and then putting the order and the family in there. So in this case, you can just skip this entire sentence and really just say Colochyma macellaria, then order, family, and then the author, right, plays an important role in forensic entomology and its related studies. So keep that sort of thing in mind. You want to simplify, you want to smooth out that writing and make it just as elevated and easy to read as possible. We're not trying to, make up 10 pages worth of this. You really have to edit yourself. So I'm going to say it over and over again. Don't say something in 3 sentences that you can say in 2, and don't say something in 2 sentences that you can say in 1. Keep that in mind. Now, you do also want to be careful with making an abstract too short, because there's a lot of information in this abstract, right? Or there's a lot of information in the paper that needs to make it into the abstract. So if you're doing something that is this short, I can tell just by glancing at it that it's not going to have enough information. So you'll know that there is a maximum and minimum for the number of words in an abstract, right? So it's pretty simple to figure out your word number. Like, I'm just copying and pasting this onto a Word document. If you go to the bottom here, it says 108 words. That's not nearly close enough to tell me everything I need to know about this. So remember, I mean, you are going through basically all the topic sentences in this abstract. So remember my rule of thumb, or my method on doing that. Just grab all those topic sentences from every single paragraph, put it all together, and then edit. And edit everything down from several sentences into one. Again, remember to be really anal about italicizing things. And then make sure you reread your work here. I know it's easy to type it out and you know what you said, but if I start seeing things like that are basic grammatical errors, like larvae reared through a beef liver, that is confusing, and I'm going to knock off a bunch of stuff. I expect you to do the same thing to the papers that you're reviewing. Go through there and really focus on their grammar, their wording, their everything. Because you can kind of tell, and you'll get used to it. Some of these papers, it's like they never read it again. They wrote it once, it was a single pass, they never bothered to look at it again, they uploaded it for you to read. And that's a pain in the butt. So keep that in mind. I'm really going to be coming down on if I can tell that you did not reread this. Always remember to add the authors if you have them. And you can practice adding the editor, but since I didn't specifically ask for it, then, I mean, you're not going to lose points for this particular assignment. And always remember you want another line under beneath, and it needs to be left, right, justified. One quick thing, I did get a couple people worried that they couldn't edit the paper that I gave them. Keep in mind that when I'm asking you to write these assignments, I want you to write an entirely separate document to upload for me. So the next assignment for this week as well is going to be a paper where I've removed the title, the abstract, and the intro. You don't need to try to edit it, that paper in the PDF form. Just write a separate document that you would add on. So while, this is helpful, that's fine. I can see where you were going here. You don't need to do this. And so if somebody else is worried about seeing this, where like, oh, they started to put the intro right there. Unless I ask for it specifically, you don't have to. If you want to add it, great. That is fine by me. But you don't necessarily need to. So don't worry about that. Now, for your keywords, remember that your keywords are what you would be checking for or be searching for on Google if you wanted this particular paper to come up. So forensic entomology isn't necessarily the main focus of this particular paper. Instead, it's an artificial diet for, yes, a forensically important insect, but more importantly, this insect is a stand-in for another nasty insect that has been eradicated from the US. So it is much more likely that somebody is going to be using Massilaria artificial diets for studying closely related or sister species rather than forensic entomology. So really think about those things, like what the audience that you're trying to reach would be searching for, and add those as the keyword. And then you can add some of this other interesting stuff. I mean, yes, this could be useful for forensic entomology, but it's not necessarily the focus of the paper. So always think about the focus of the paper. I usually find that words that are repeated several times throughout the paper help with the focus. So go through and see what words are repeated more than 2 or 3 times. And that could become a good keyword or something in that family of words.